Man, I tell you, welcome to technology. Technology, it works with us. It works with us. Elon Musk, figure something out. Hey, this is your main man, your boy, the one and only Coach Tony, and this is the Pull Up Podcast Show. Man, we have got a phenomenal guest on tonight with us tonight, and I am very proud to sit in, very honored to have him on my show with us tonight. But I need you guys to do a few things for me. First of all, make sure you like the show. Make sure you share with your friends, your family. Make sure they share the podcast with other people. And more importantly, subscribe to the show. But before we jump on and before we bring my guest with us, Val, you know what to do. Drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the boys and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the boys and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show, where we give you quarter by quarter of sports information. And tonight, man, we own it. JP, Johnny Pratt, my man, St. Louis in the house. Appreciate you showing up. Hey, everybody, wherever you are tonight, make sure you say hello. I want to make sure I introduce you and make sure you get some questions for our guest tonight. But we're coming from Golden State of California, Sacktown in the house tonight, by way of University of San Francisco, where he was a second team All-American, 1978 and 79. Man, he shares a birthday with who? With none other than your boy, the one and only Coach Tony, on July 30th. And I don't even know if my guest even knows this, but I'm about to let him know. You know, he's got his own podcast called Coach Bill Cartwright Show, which that lets you know what he's doing on some major levels here. He's a three-time NBA champ as a player with my beloved Chicago Bulls, and a two-time NBA champ as a coach with the Chicago Bulls. And none other. Cannot wait. Don't want to spoil it. Don't want to tell you anything else. Let's bring to the stage the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, man. I tell you, man, technicalities. Oh, you figured out how you doing this evening.
Well, I think we figured out this, how to get online here. They got to remember, I'm 67 years old this year. And sometimes this technology it's supposed to be easier.
I know, right?
Yeah, and it's not.
I just told the fans, I said, hey, man, the technology sometimes doesn't work with it. I'm going to tell you something that you don't even know, man, that I'm so glad that, you're on the show. Do you know that you and I share the same birthday?
When I first talked to you, I knew there was something about you. There was something that was just felt right.
Man,
so there it is.
Yeah, July 30th, baby, them Leos, man. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Well, listen, I'm so glad you're taking the time out of the schedule to join us tonight. I got one of the young up-and-coming sports podcasts that hit the country. I'm coming up on a one-year anniversary in January, and to have you kind of almost like a Christmas gift, this is absolutely awesome. We got a lot of your fans and people that want to ask some questions of you. But let's go back to Sacktown. Let's go back up into San Francisco as you were getting started and coming through Elk Grove High School as a player. Tell us a little bit about those days as a high school player when you were playing ball in California.
Well, you got to remember, for one thing, I'm from south of Sacramento. I went to Elk Grove High School, and my dad was a farm laborer. So as a kid, I drove tractors, trucks. My dad, it was plant, irrigate, harvest. So you learn what it was like to work. You spent a lot of time, especially during the summertime. If you could imagine, picking tomatoes. I know none of you hold a sugar beet field where you take a long handle hoe. You got to chop sugar beets for weeds out for 8 hours a day.
Ooh.
But we learned how to work. So when it came to playing sports, man, you played sports because
You didn't
you were
want to
just
go do
happy
that
to
work.
play. No, we didn't want to go to the field. We didn't want to go back to the field. It's hot out there. You're in Sacramento. It's 105
Yeah.
degrees. So um, it was just all about working. But that was what our area was all about. It's an agricultural area. We knew how to work. I was fortunate when I was in high school. I had a really good high school coach with Dan Risley. He was a little bit um, compulsive in the fact that we knew we were doing more than everybody else. We're shooting more, we're working out more. So consequently, in high school, I had really great teams. Started with my sophomore year. My junior year, we were undefeated. My senior year, we won Northern California Championship. And that really led me to the University of San Francisco. And it was really kind of interesting because I was fortunate. I had a lot of scholarship opportunities. Did not want to go out of California.
Oh, wow.
So no, I was really happy with being in California. There was 3 schools at that time: UCLA,
Yep.
USC, and
Yep.
USF. And at UCLA at that time, if you remember, John Wooden was the coach.
Correct.
And
They still
John,
had Kiki Vandeweghe. I think the Kiki Vandeweghe was on that UCLA team.
well, when I was a senior, that's when Bill Walton was just leaving school.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I'll tell you who was on that team. It was a beast, and was Marcus Johnson.
Yeah. Oh,
So
Johnson.
yeah, so um, John Wooden did not start freshman.
Oh,
So I I asked him, will I have an opportunity to start? No. Can I challenge the guy who was the starting center? No, who was Ralph Drowninger at the time. So
wow.
I thought, look, I'm getting about 39 points a game in high school. I should have a chance to start. So boom, I'm off to SC. So went over to SC, visited them, and SC was a great school, big school. The coach at that time, Summer was well, I'm not going to say who it is. You got to look it up. But on our visit, 3 of the players walked around with me and basically told me, "Don't come to school here. This coach is a bad guy." So
That didn't make you feel good.
that that left USF, and all I wanted when I was at school was to have a chance to start, and I wanted my number. My number was 24. So consequently, the starting center at that time was this kid from Oakland, Howard Smith. Howard had 2 things. He had a starting position, and he had my number.
Oh,
So,
you
so
wanted them
this is
both.
what, yeah, but this is what this kid did. This guy said, "Look, if you come to school here, I'll give up my position and I'll give up my number."
Oh, wow.
So I thought, wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
That is strong. So I ended up going to USF, and
They the dump.
um, yeah, and USF had always had a great tradition of basketball anyway. Starting from 1949 when they won the NIT, all the way up to Bill Russell, um, Casey Jones, Mike
Oh, okay.
Farmer. They had
Yeah.
great players there. So they had a great tradition that carried on with Joe Ellis, um, um, Ollie Thompson. Right before me, it was Phil Smith, um, Kevin Rastani, Eric Fernston, all NBA players.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
we had a great
Plus, we
tradition
had,
of
plus you got a
basketball.
chance to play during you had the short days on. That was back in the day when you wore the short shorts, man.
Yeah, that's just
So that was
normal
good.
pants.
Yeah, yeah. Then you're 7'1". This guy gives up his jersey number, gives up his position. and you end up at USF, and it is great. You get the chance to stay home, where mom and the family gets the opportunity to see you play. Now, you're seeing that you're coming up in that 78, 79 era where you were doing your thing. And that was a big era because 78, Larry Bird comes off of doing his thing. And now you're in this class of 79 with the one and only Michigan State's Magic Johnson. Of course, you got Daryl Dawkins along the way right there. Bird goes in the draft in 78. And now you find yourself in the top 20 in the United States. How did that make you feel getting ready to go into the draft?
Well, that was fine for the draft because I felt like I was ready. I had played 4 years. Physically, I was ready. I was about 250 pounds. I could pretty much run into a wall, so I felt like I was ready, and I was excited because I had an opportunity to play against guys who were on my wall at home. I had 2 guys on my wall. One I couldn't play against. I had Wilt and I had Creel on my wall. So
Okay.
I was very excited. I got very lucky to get drafted by the Knicks. Interesting enough, one of the 2 teams were going to take me. It was going to be the Bulls or the Knicks.
Yep. Yep.
And with the second pick, they took David Greenwood.
Yep.
He went to Chicago. Magic, of course, went 1. And I went the third pick, went to the Knicks. Had a great experience there. And think about this: my teammate was I played with Earl Monroe, Marvin Webster. My coach was Red Holtzman.
Yeah.
It was. I was in New York City, and I got to tell you, at that time, from a guy from Elk Grove, California, New York City is pretty damn big. So it was
and
a
the
great
weather
time
was
to
a little
learn how to
colder
play
too.
basketball.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I said, and the weather was a little colder too.
Weather was a little chilly, but we spent a lot of time indoors, and and you're young, man. You didn't care.
Yeah. You just wanted to play. And my guy Gary Gray from Chicago says, man, I know that you're 67, coach, but he said he used to love how you would be in the post and sit down and throw them elbows at guys. Were you throwing them elbows like that back in college as well, or that kind of developed once you got into the league?
Hey, look, it was survival of the fittest out there. It's not a matter of throwing elbows. It's a matter of just protecting yourself, because if you went down the lane and some guy smashed you to the ground, that's a foul. And just get up and shoot some free throws. Now right now, that it would be a flagrant 2 right now.
Yeah, it'd be a flagrant 2. Yeah, say that be tough. I keep telling these young guys, coach, LeBron and all these guys, maybe LeBron with the body, but some of these prima donnas, they wouldn't make it back with you guys, man. A couple of them Bill Lambiers, some of your shots, and Patrick Ewing shots, and some other guys, Oakley shots. Some of these guys wouldn't make it, to that first contract.
Yeah, so you just had to keep your hands up. You got to protect yourself.
Interestingly enough, coach, so you wear 24 in high school. You get to San Fran, you wear 24, but you get to the Knicks and you go to 25. What happened there?
Well, what happened is that there was this guy already there by the name of Bill Bradley.
Yo, Senator Bradley. Yes, sir.
So Bill Bradley was going to get his number retired. So they're like, nah, you can't get that number. So
you can't get that.
I took the next best thing and took 25.
Okay, so, I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna one up you and take 12. But that don't be slight about it, because you're going to the Knicks at the time on the back end of Phil Jackson, on the back end of one of my prolific guys, and Earl the Pearl Monroe, and then you're coming in to the Knicks organization where they were still pretty strong and all that. As you were a rookie when you got to New York, What was the atmosphere like, and what was the difference that you noticed from being a college ball player? And now you're 3,000 miles across the country in New York. Now you're playing in the Madison Square Garden.
I'm playing inside the most well-known arena in maybe the world.
Yeah.
So, but I was ready for it. And look, we had a rebuilding team. I came in with 5 rookies. Jeff Houston, who's from New York, with the Texas Tech, Hollis Copeland, Rutgers, um, Larry Dimmick, Arizona, and our guy Sly Williams,
Sly Williams, baby.
Sly Williams from Rhode Island, who's a wonderful guy. So we had a really young team. Our veterans were Earl, Marvin, we had Mike Glenn, Stinger, with Southern Illinois, and Josie Merriweather was a wonderful guy, and along with Toby Knight, Notre Dame kid.
Yep.
So Glenn Gonzak. We just had a really young team, and we're really learning how to play. At least I was. I could score, but I couldn't guard anybody. To me, a good
that was a
season.
learning curve, though, Coach. You step up to that league as a learning curve and whatnot. So before we get, I'm gonna let you come right back. We're gonna take a quick break. Coming out of the first quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show, we're gonna pay a few bills. We're gonna be right back on with the legend, the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright. Val, pay a few bills. We'll be right back.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Man, welcome back. As we come out in the second quarter here on the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only Coach Tony and my guy, the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright. Let me just read a couple of accolades here, on your coach. And we got a couple of people. My sister checked in the house, Latoya down in Florida, Coach Justin Allen got some questions for you. But I just want these people to get a feel, and these young guys, in terms of work ethic. On the backside, we got a 3-time NBA champion, NBA All-Star in 1980. NBA first team, 1980. 2-time college consensus second team All-American. 3-time WAC player of the year. Your jersey's already retired. And then you end up there. I mean, that's just phenomenal. I mean, when you're looking at that and you're getting in the shape of things, my sister had a question that, what do you think about at that time, basketball as you grew up and basketball as you knew it, as opposed to now that you're there in San Francisco with the younger guys? What's the biggest difference that you've seen, as we just mentioned a moment ago? Back in the day, hand checking was great. Just imagine, Coach, if you played right now in 2024 where they couldn't hand check you in the middle, man. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, basketball has always changed, and it's always evolving. And I haven't met a teammate or anybody my age that likes basketball right now and how it's being played, because it's totally different, because it's a lot less physical. It's a lot of dribbling in, a lot of isolation. So it's just a really totally different game. I don't try to judge it. I do, but I try not to, and try to enjoy the good parts of it. So there's no inside game, but or very little, at least in the NBA. There's some with the good teams in college. You're going to see guys in our conference, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, yep. They post.
Mm-hmm.
So they still play inside out, but it's just a different kind of game, and you have to just really try to appreciate these guys, because now they really are more athletic.
Right.
They really are faster. They're really super strong. They just play a totally different game, and it looks like it's irresponsible. Some of the things they do,
Mm-hmm.
especially their when they shoot the ball, transition threes.
Yep.
Uh, and they'll try to justify it with somebody
Yeah, they
says,
try
"Hey,
to
the
test.
numbers." Yeah, the numbers. What numbers? Look, you guys we're not gonna like it, but we're gonna try to appreciate it. We're gonna try to appreciate the guys because they do work hard. I watch these guys practice all the time. Their workouts now are year round,
Yep.
which
Yep.
we didn't have to do.
The AU for that.
Yeah, so they do put the time in. Uh, they do earn what they get. So it's just different, and we should just appreciate them because they do want to do well. They want to do the right thing. It's just a different thing they're doing.
Yeah. And Coach Justin Allen says that during the time you was there, because we know. And by the way, I'm still in touch with your guy, the one and only Cliff Levinson. I got to get Cliff out here. Me and Cliff talk.
But
He in Indiana. He up in Kokomo. He's always been great. When my AAU team go up to Indianapolis and play in the summertime, Coach Cartwright, man, Cliff comes by and talk to the boys. He invites us out. He's coaching one of the TBL teams down in Kokomo, Indiana, and an old field house, and I love it. Him and his wife, they've been absolutely phenomenal. So it's been great. And Coach Justin, who's my assistant coach, he says that, looking at the tenure and how you played and going back in some of the bigs that you played against once you came out of San Fran and going into the league, what was some of the toughest either power forwards or centers that you had a chance to face in the league over your time?
you know, you get asked that a lot, and it's like, look, at the center position, everybody presented a different problem. Like my first game was against Daryl Dawkins.
Oh,
And then after that, you roll in and you get Bob and Aaron, and then you get Dave Cowens, and then you get Cream, and
yeah.
then you get Artis Gilmore, and then maybe you go west and you get Dan Issel, and you
Then
get
you get
Alvin
Kareem.
Adams. Yeah, and you get Clifford Ray, but you're going to get somebody that can play. I still remember the first time I played against Wes Unseld, where I was a big kid. I could move really quick at that time. So I remember going up, and Wes was behind me. And so I was trying to get by him and get an offensive rebound. So I was just going to move him out of the way and get the rebound. So I hit him, and I can promise you, I hit him good. And I can promise you something else. He did not move an inch. And I thought, wow, this guy is like a tree. So you go get something, whether it's, now you got Elvin Hayes over there. And
Yeah.
that guy was an orthodox shooter, but he could really score, let alone now you're going to get Moses Malone, who this guy is really unorthodox.
And can step
But
away.
but the quickest damn jumper maybe of all time. So his biggest weapon is that he could shoot and he would rebound his own shot because he was so quick and
Right.
score. So my point is that everybody can do something, whether they
Right.
were a shot blocker, you play. I played against Mark Eaton.
Yep.
That dude's a tree. So you
Yeah.
think you can get your shot off the first time you shoot it, and then he blocks it, and you're 5 feet off, and you're like, wow.
Right. Yeah. And he did. This guy's long. And I know Mark Eden's. I remember when Jordan dunked on I forgot who was at guard, and somebody in the crowd booed him, and he came back and dunked on Mark Eden. And after, was he big enough? And so it is amazing to see them fill up. And now one of the big Knicks guys, my guy is called Wise at 5. He does a podcast in New York right now. He's a big time Knicks guy. And as he leads into my next question, now you find yourself on the backside of the Knicks. Knicks really wasn't going to where you were looking at going. They were struggling a little bit, and now you find yourself being traded to the team that you possibly was going to get picked up at the number 2 spot when you originally came out, and now you go from one major city in New York to Chicago. So Wise asked, what was the difference from playing from the coach that you had at that time in New York with Phil, and then I mean with the coach, and now you all of a sudden you find yourself in Chicago, getting ready to come in '88, and Doug Collins, I think, was that original coach. And they let him go. Then Phil Jackson came in. What was the big difference? I know there was a lot of controversy. I remember as a kid coming through high school, we would get an opportunity to go down to the stadium, and and the West Side wasn't nice. You know that how that was, Coach. It was bad on the West Side, and I remember they used to let us keep our tickets, and we would park on Madison, and they would let you go out at halftime just to make sure you check on your car, make sure your car was still there, because Honorable Wells Projects was right there. But it was such a big controversy because we thought Doug Collins was like Mr. Chicago, but then here comes Reinsdorf, makes a big change, and Phil Jackson steps in. What did you see was the major differences from a Doug Collins into a Phil Jackson type of coaching?
Well, for one thing, just leaving New York. New York is going to test you.
Okay.
You're either going to be, your face could be on the back page of the Post, good or bad. It's like he's great, or he's like, get him out of town. So it was a good test for my character, that you really find out who you are and why you're playing basketball. The Knicks at that time, we had, by time there, the 9 years I was there, I had 4 coaches. With Red, UB, I had Bob Hill, and my last coach I had there was Rick Pitino. So you had to adjust yourself to who the coach was. So every year your role was going to kind of change, and you learn how to play. You learn how to fit in that kind of a system. And while I was in New York, I had an opportunity to be the team's leading rebounder, team's leading scorer, the team's leader in minutes. So I was able to really establish myself.
Like that to be trained.
Yeah, well, I was on the All-Star team my first year, but they were trying to get young themselves. So they got this guy on the team by the name of Patrick Ewing.
Yep.
We got Kenny Walker.
Yep. Mark Jackson.
We have Mark Jackson. So they wanted to get young. So the guy that they felt they needed was not me. So and they got at the time when I thought that I was not going to get traded, maybe the only year I ended up getting traded to Chicago. So by the time I got there, nothing's going to bother me. Nobody's going to mess with my character because I already know who I am. I know what I need to do. Doug, when I talked to him the first time, he was great. I had actually played against Doug his last years when he was in Philly. So we knew each other a little bit. And then when Phil took over, I had played against Phil when his last year in Jersey. So we knew each other a little bit. And Phil blended in the coaches and the players in accordance with what they could do. So we had an established system defensively with Johnny Bach and a system of play with Tex Winter.
Great Tex Winter.
Yeah, I always felt that Phil was really lucky to have those two guys, along with Jim Clemens.
Yep, Coach Clemens, love him.
Coach Clemens was my teammate when I was with the Knicks for a year. So I knew those guys. They're good guys. They had a system. And they were stable. They had the same GM, had the same owner. We didn't switch out coaches every other year. So we were able to establish ourselves. We had really good young players, not only MJ, Pip, Horace, that was his second year. John Paxson, your guy you just talked about, Cliff Livingston.
Yep.
We had probably the world's greatest shooter at that time, Craig Hodges.
Hodges, that's right, baby.
We had a young Will Purdue and B.J. Armstrong.
BJ,
So
yeah.
we had a young, talented team and hungry guys, and our goal was to win a championship. So it was a perfect situation for me to just play my role, and I was happy to do that because I was already established to, I wasn't hungry to score and be a leading scorer anymore because I'd already had that. Everything I wanted to accomplish as a player, I had already done. So I was really prepared to play a role and allow these young boys to do what they do. And it was, and it really worked out. It was great. Just so you know, our team at that time with our coaches, everything was like you're in a classroom. You're being taught. So we're being taught defense. We're being taught offense, and it was a great environment to be in. And another guy I should mention was our strength and conditioning coach, Al Vermeil.
Mill.
This guy needs to be acknowledged for the fact that
Yeah.
we really learned how to do Olympic lifting. I never done that before.
Yeah.
We used to do. Al used to bring European coaches in, so we're doing running drills. I'm learning how to run. I'm 31 years old, and I've never had a running drill. I didn't know there was a right way to run. I just ran. So we're doing
Just
running
ran,
drills,
right?
and it was great. It was great. So it's like you're learning a lesson every day. So you're being trained. So it was a great atmosphere. It took us 2 years to get past those dreaded Detroit
Detroit
Pistons.
Pistons. Yeah, with oh, I don't even want to talk. Before we go in that, Coach, we're gonna take a halftime break because I want to dig into that song. So we're gonna take a halftime break real quick on a Pull Up Podcast show with my guy, the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright, and we're gonna answer some of these young questions, you guys. Now, this is the stuff that I keep telling y'all between the Pistons and the Bulls and where we took off. And Coach Cartwright's gonna talk about it when we come back on the other side of halftime. Val, let's pay a couple more bills. We'll be right back on the Pull Up Podcast show. Hey, it's your main man, right back at you, coming live here from the Rise Studios, and it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting your airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So make sure if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah, that right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities to get paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. Let's go.
Doing all too well, our coach and I know, coming out of halftime. My nephew put that together. As we approach this first ring, I got something for you, Coach. Check this out. Look at this here. I had to get it out the closet, baby. This is the original. That's the original. Damn.
Like
so now we had to sneak by Los Angeles, and they're doing their things on the west side. Isaiah, he's doing his thing with the Pistons, of course. You know, as I call him, Mr. Physical, want to play a little dirty every now and then, Bill Lambier, and these Pistons. Because we couldn't get by them, and we was frustrated. And then we finally get over that hump. Talk us through, because I was so glad that we didn't let the Pistons win 3. And they got that back-to-back. And I thought Chuck Daly was a maestro. I thought he was a maestro. He had the Olympic teams. He did what he had to do. And I know Johnny Pratt's going to probably say something. He's a big-time Pistons guy. But once we stepped in that, what was the difference between that 90 season, losing to the Pistons coach, and then finally getting over the hump in 91? What was the difference? Because as you mentioned, you guys had, you're learning how to run, bringing strength and conditioning. And now the European game is starting to trickle into the NBA a little bit. Do you think that was the big reason? And we've got people out here. My guy, real quick, my niece is out here, Christine Mayfield. Say hello, coach. How you doing? My homeboy, like my brother, Mr. Michael Drew out in Phoenix, said, what's going on? We got a couple more people checking in. Make sure you guys, if you have a question for Coach Cartwright, please put it in the taglines. We can get it out for you. But, Coach, talk a little bit about going to that first ring with the Bulls, because now you're 12 years in the league, right, since 79, and you finally get an opportunity to approach your first NBA championship away from New York.
What you got to understand is that we were a young team, but, this is the bottom line. The Pistons at that time, they were better than us. And it took us 2 years to get past them. So, and it's interesting enough, it took 2 years for them to get past the Celtics.
Yep.
So that was really normal, but they were a better team. They were really physical, and everybody thought they were a great defensive team. No, they could really score. These guys could really score the ball. So we just had to learn the lesson of how to defeat that team. And Phil was great the year where we were able to go get past it, because the phrase is that we're going to bend and not break. So we just played our type of basketball, which was fast. We attacked, we moved, we played great D. We're solid. Our transition break was a wave. So, we're able to get past them. We beat them all season, and in the playoffs, we swept them out of there. And I always say this: we should thank the Pistons. We should thank them.
Oh man, Johnny Pratt my boy gonna love to hear that, Coach Cartwright, because he and I go back and forth, and he always said, man, the Bulls got to thank us all the time. And I'm always saying something else, but you going to confer what he just says, and he tells me all the time.
Yeah, because we had to pay the price to get past them. And once we did, we were able to win a championship. So they made us better. We had to elevate our game. And those guys made us better physically. They made us better mentally. And then now we were able to, after that, take on the Lakers. We lost to them in the first game, beat them the second game. We had 3 games in LA. And people talk about the fact that I knew you were going to win, and it's like, no, you didn't. Nobody thought we were going to win. We went to LA. So we went down there and swept them 3 straight games.
Right, yeah,
So,
that was something. I got something for you. Do you know, and you may not even know this, do you know that after we won that first ring in 91 and we came in a locker room in LA, do you know that you were the second person in the room behind Michael Jordan?
I do not know that, and this is why. I was running off the court, and my high school coach was at that game. He broke through the barrier and got knocked down by security, and I grabbed him, picked him up, and brought him to the locker room. So that's how crazy he is. So he got knocked down. So that's what I remember from that game.
Oh,
it was
wow.
It was hilarious.
It was just crazy. And then you guys go on, and then you win 2 more to make a three-peat. And now the question that I always get, is a couple of things. Is one, how was Phil able to balance the personalities of everything that you guys were going through in terms of the players on the team? Because you got to a superstar at this time in Jordan. And then you got Pippen there. And how was Phil able to balance the personality with the egos? And what was the locker room atmosphere like during this time of this championship run?
Well, I think that the big thing is that guys knew their roles, and we were able to keep together our core group. So I think that's a big thing in both our championship runs, is that our key guys were still there. And it's like, what's interesting, when we played the Pistons, one of their key guys wasn't there. You know who that was?
Who was
Rick
that?
Mahorn. Rick Mahorn.
Oh, that's right. Mahomes, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was not there. And I still tell them that. I said, the reason they didn't win, because they didn't have you.
Yes, I forgot about it.
So,
And he was definitely the muscle inside of that entire thing. Now, Michael Drew puts the question. He says that so after we get that third ring, unfortunately for a lot of people that saw on the night, some that don't know, and some that may have followed the Bulls at the time, unfortunately, Michael Jordan's father was killed, and Mike stepped away. And this is the question that me and Coach Justin go back and forth all the time. My personal thoughts, as you and I talked prior to, I felt that if the situation may not have happened, and if we'd have stayed intact, I think that what you guys had, Coach Cartwright, we could have probably rolled off maybe 8 straight, something that never happened since the Boston Celtics had done it in the 60s. His question is, do you think that if the situation with Mike's dad didn't happen and Mike stayed intact and we didn't have that bumping and roll for those 2 years, do you think that during that process, even with Michael stepping away, do you think that the Bulls could have continued on winning for those years?
the answer is yes.
That's what I thought.
As a matter of fact, that next year, that 4th championship would have been our easiest championship.
Against
That's the year.
Olajuwon in Houston. That's what I told Coach Justin. I know they had Olajuwon down there. We had you in the middle and everything. And I know that I forgot I go crazy on the point guard that they had at that time and from Georgia. But I didn't think, and then they had, of course, my boy Kenny the Jet. But I didn't think that Houston had enough. They had Thorpe, but I just didn't think that Houston had enough if we'd have stayed intact to beat us.
Well, you got to remember when Michael wasn't there. Who stepped up? Pip, B.J. Armstrong.
Yep.
B.J. Armstrong was amazing, and Tony Kukoc.
Kukoc, forgot about the waiter. Forgot
Tony
about the waiter.
Kukoc. Tony
Kukoc
Kukoc.
bring that European style ball game to the Bulls at that time. That's right.
Tony Kukoc was a special player. He's tall as me, and he can play every position on the court.
Yes.
So that dude really had a great year. So we were a better team, and we still got to the Eastern Conference finals
Right.
without Michael. So to say that we couldn't have won is silly. We would
Yeah,
have won
that's
that
what I thought.
and won it easily.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
So
thought, because we don't have Michael there. And again, like I tell these guys, we still had the opportunity to win, even though Houston was coming up and what they had going on. There's nowhere in the world that, because we still had all of our pieces and we was just there. Just at that time, Houston was clicking and they played great and they reeled off 2 straight and we came back.
yeah, I don't know any team in basketball that can lose their best player and then get back to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
Correct.
It's just not going to happen.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we had a great year. Phil did a great job. Pip was amazing. Horace was amazing. Everybody that was there did their job, and it was fun. It was a fun year. So we had our I call them second group of starters with Stacey King and Scott Williams and
Thanks.
those guys.
Oklahoma boy. Scotty
Those guys.
Williams, Carolina. Yes.
Yeah, those guys were terrific. So
Yeah.
we're really very fortunate to have those guys on the team, and we played well. We just, we call it the Hugh Hollins call. That happened in that game. that all Nick fans will remember you, Hollins, making a call. As
Yep.
a matter of fact, I had the rebound in my hand, and everybody's looking around. What's he calling? And that's what he called a foul on Pip.
Yeah.
And that ultimately cost us the game.
Yep. Yep. And
So,
that's crazy. That was on the road. And it's so funny because, the dynamics of everything. And I remember when you guys lost in the city, it felt like somebody just gut punch you in the stomach, having to just come back and swallow that. Now, at the end of that season, you get your third ring, and now you see that the Bulls have moved you on to Seattle with the glove and ring, man. In that 94-95 season. Now you're back in Cali again, back home. How was that for that 1 year?
it was a great learning experience. I was thinking about doing a little coaching then, and that was George Karl was there. And
Yeah.
interesting enough, George had a great staff with Terry Stotts and Dwayne Casey and Bob Weiss and Tim Gerkerich. He had a great coaching staff, so I was able to observe them, watch them. George allowed me to come into some of their coaches sessions. I asked him if I could come. He probably thought I wasn't going to show up, but I did because I wanted to see what he was doing. Because George was a great coach. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to watch and learn, and we had a really good team, and with Sean and Gary and Detlef Shrimp and Nate McMillan. And,
Ooh, I remember that. Duncan Dutchman.
Yeah. And Stan Perkins. So we had a good squad, and we just didn't play very well at the end of the year and got our asses knocked out in the first round by the Lakers.
Yep.
So, after that, I was up on the grad school, and my basketball career was pretty much done. I was resigned to go ahead, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a business person. So believe it or not, I had decided, out of all this thinking of 16 years of basketball, that I wanted to be a McDonald's operator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was all signed up to McDonald's U, and I just finished grad school. Got my master's in OD, organizational development. And then I got a phone call from the Bulls GM, Jerry Krause.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry had asked me if I wanted to coach. And I thought, Jerry, that sounds interesting, but I didn't want to step over the guys who were already there. And I didn't really want to coach. So I just told him that. So now, because I told him I didn't want to step over these guys, he thought I had real character. So they called me back 2 days later and said, no, I took care of those guys, and I want you to come down and coach. So I kind of thought that maybe that's what I should be doing. Maybe that's my calling. So
That could have been a win-win for you, though, Coach, because you think about it. You come back to Chicago, and also McDonald's headquarters is in Oak Brook. So to me, that'll be a win-win. And Miss Bella said she absolutely, and this Bella, she checks in on me this morning, New York style, tells me she absolutely loves podcasts, and it's all good. But before I let you get into that coaching side of the house, we're going to take our last break of the day because I got some big questions on that. Val, let's pay our last bill of the day. Get these bill collectors out of my back pocket. We'll be right back on the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only Coach Tony and my guy, Coach Bill Cartwright. We'll be right back.
I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning.
There you go.
So she comes out with me Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol? Don't.
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I thought about, writing a book myself because my man's in there.
I love it.
And look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in there. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I got to hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like, I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, so please, but I'm kind of, I'm authoring right now. You guys are funny.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show with your one and only Coach Tony and my guy, the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright. I want to got something for you, Coach. Look at that right there. They don't know too much about that 72-10. That's that first year that you come back and you coach, and then we have the best record in the NBA. That becomes your first ring as a coach. What was the biggest difference? Now you're sitting on the sideline as a coach, and you're having to teach the same thing you've done over 16 years as a player to the locker room, to these young guys. And now your old teammates, and Pippen and Jordan, they're back, Batman and Robin, they're back together again. And now you find yourself as a coach. How was that atmosphere?
It was great. It was, we're still running the same system. And of course, Phil was great. Phil was great to me. I think at that time, Tex was still there. Jim Clemens was still there. We had assistant coach Frank Hamlin, who was one of the best NBA assistant coaches of all time. So I had a lot of people to learn from, how to coach, how to be a coach, how to scout. I had to learn to be a scout first. So there was a big learning curve. And I got to tell you something. I was more tired as a coach than I ever was as a player, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of focus.
Yep.
And you're constantly worried about, your opponent. You're worried about your other team. You're just not focused on yourself. So it's a great education, but I love it because I would have been watching basketball games anyway. So being a basketball coach is even more than being a player, because now you're addicted to it. And you want to see everything, you want to watch everything, you want to give your team an advantage, and so it was great. It was great for me. So I really loved it. I appreciated the fact that guys took time with me, especially Tex, who I was in his office constantly asking him questions. He would put on some of his old films when he was at K-State, and when he was coaching at Northwestern, running his offense. It was just all beautiful stuff. So these are just really, really great basketball minds. So I was just really fortunate to be part of that.
That's absolutely awesome. You hit it on the nail. As me and you talk, I'm 25 seasons now, very addictive, 20 with the AAU program. I got guys who've gone on and done some wonderful things. And then when I see some of my players, coach, call me back, and, a lot of them are high school coaches now, several college coaches. Big shout out to one of my more successful kids that played through the program, and Kevin Giltner. He's now associate head coach down at Virginia Tech. It's just wonderful to know that, you're not only a coach, but you're in a mentor situation. And now I have the opportunity to leave Catholic High School and St. Cecilia High School here in Nashville with a group of young ladies, having to teach them the game of basketball. And it's been, like I said, it's phenomenal because you just happen to get that Musa in you, not only being a mentor, but it become contagious. They don't understand the late nights and staying up and worrying about the next game. And you're exactly right. When I remember getting better as a coach, I was doing it through scouting high school kids throughout Nashville, Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia, doing camps, doing clinics, and things of that nature. So it's been very, very balanced. And now in your situation, you're a little different because I'm managing scholarships. You're managing contracts, right? You're managing guys that are millionaires already and all that. What's been the biggest difference currently right now that you're back in San Francisco, back on the college side of the house, as opposed to the pros and the mindsets or the mentality of the players?
For me, it's exactly the same. You know,
Okay,
the money's going to be there, but guys want to know that you can relate to them. So my players, I'm going to know them. I'm going to know everything, single thing about them. I'm going to know what they like to eat. I'm going to know their girlfriend or their wife. I'm going to know their kids. I'm going to know every single thing about them, because the more I know about them and the more time I spend with them, now I can coach them.
right,
Because if I'm not spending any time with them and we're not connected, um, I can't coach them as hard. But if somebody knows that I care about them and I'm doing what's best for them, I can coach the hell out of them. I can say anything I want.
right.
So to me,
And they want to
it's
be coached.
knowing that
They
person.
want you to coach them hard.
Right. But they have to know me. And I want them to know me. And I want to know them for who they are as a person. And once that happens, I think you can really make some strides with people, because they know we're all on the same page. We want you to do well. In
Yeah,
order
yeah,
for our
yeah,
team to do well, you have to do well. And,
exactly.
you know, it doesn't have to be anything loud. It's like, look, I'm going to hold you to an extraordinarily high standard. So just get ready for it,
Right.
because you're too good, and you're going to be great if you let me help you be great.
I like that. I
So
like that because life is going to hold you to a high standard, right? Once you get out in this real world and you do the things you got to do, life's going to hold you to that same high standard.
going to hold you to the highest standard as possible, and why not? Because anything's possible. Any team's beatable. Any player you're guarding, we can stop them. Let's talk about how we're going to get that done.
Right.
So, but it's together. It's not a dictatorship. Um, it's you're going to work together. We win together. We lose together. Um, but I'm with you. Whatever you want to do, we're together.
Right. Right. I like that. I like that. And we're here in the fourth quarter with the one and only Coach Bill Cartwright. If you guys got any questions, please make sure you put them in the tagline so Val can talk about it. The one big question I've got for you, Coach, that we dealt with on the show, and I talked about this for several episodes. And you know, I had your buddy, by the way, Coach Danielle Vigilon. She talks about you. That's my girl, Sacktown's finest. And that's how I went along. I kept saying, Danielle, you got to get Coach Cartwright on here. I got to have him on. Plus, I'm a huge Bulls guy, you know, and had an opportunity to be around you guys and had an opportunity to meet you on several occasions back doing a lot of the community events in the early 90s. But when Danielle came on, and she kind of gave us the lay of the land on the WNBA side of the house, you know, what has been the changes now that you're back with the Dons? And when you were there was no money flying around, and now everything is about NIL.
Yeah, it is about that. And, you know, the NIL is not going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger. And my thing is that what I tell people is that there's still plenty of players. So don't worry about that, you know, because there's more players in that portal than there are teams. So there's still players, and you just have to find players that are fit for your team.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the NIL. Not everybody's going to make $1 million or $2 million
Right.
or whatever. That's just elite. Most of the guys are pretty much in the same bracket.
Hmm.
uh, take $100,000 or less. I mean, I never have that.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Hey,
but
I'd have taken 100 grand, take it easy 100 grand and play. But some of these kids, they don't think that's enough. And it's amazing because, as you say, really 96 to 97% of these kids are making 100,000 plus. The news and ESPN blows up these 1, 2, 3, 5, 10% of the kids that are making these big, big, big contracts. From what I'm being able to look at and what I'm seeing, and it's very interesting that you just said it because last year the portal had over 1,200 kids in the portal, which is 4 times the amount of colleges that we have at Division I schools. So as you say, when you're looking at that, what I found out, coach, and the players that play for me, AAU, and the parents that's talking to me, I am having a very, very difficult time just trying to get high school seniors signed. Do you feel that the junior college will make a return, like it did back during Jerry Tartanian days when he had the JUCOs running in the U.S. down in Odessa, Texas? Do you think that's the best way for some of these high school kids to get on into the next level?
JUCOs have always been there, and if there's a talented JUCO player that's at the JUCO level, it's probably because something academic.
Yep.
So something's, you know, um, we don't have a lot of JUCO kids at USF because our admissions people are pretty stiff.
Okay.
Um, but there's always a place for them to play.
Yep.
So I don't see that on the rise. But what I do see is the teams that are going to win an NCAA championship are going to win with one-hit wonders. So I think, you got to make a decision about what kind of team you're going to have. Even with Connecticut this year, with all their star players, they're still losing. And it's like,
Yep.
how can they lose with all those stars over there? Well, you're losing because you're not playing with the same squad you played with last year. You can't just
Correct.
throw a bunch of guys together, even though they're really good.
And they're young.
Uh, it still takes a couple years for those guys to play together. So I'm not worried about the guys who are coming into the league. One-hit wonders, they have that at Kentucky, the Blue Bloods. These guys wander in for a year. They
Right.
get to the 8th and they lose because those young guys are really good players. They're freshmen. They're young. No, you're not gonna win a championship with them. You're gonna get to 16. You're gonna get to 8,
And
and
yeah.
after that, you're gonna lose. And
Yep.
it's and a great example of that was a few years ago when Zion was a senior. He's at Duke. They have
Correct.
three. They have 3 first-round draft picks, and they didn't get to the Final Four.
Correct. And St. Peter's came out of nowhere, PA, and shocked the world.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the teams that do have the juniors, they do have the seniors, the guys who've been in the program for a while, they've been together for a while. I think that those teams have a better opportunity to win. So and the money part is just life. It's just what it is. It's what the
Yeah.
college basketball is. But that's still that everybody's not going to make $1 million. Everybody's not going to it's just not going to happen. So I'm not going to get enamored about that.
Right. Right.
I'm more curious about who's going to have the best team. And I'm just hoping maybe this year USF will have an opportunity to get in the tournament and have some fun.
Yeah, yeah. My guy used to be Coach Dollar, baby. I was good friends with Dollar Bill before he came out of Atlanta and went up to the Don territory. We're gonna bring Val on the stage tonight with us. She want to jump in here and ask some questions. We're gonna talk a little bit about living life at the center. The book. I really want you to focus on the book. What made you decide to go in to be an author after all this time? You've been a phenomenal player, high school, phenomenal player in college, great pro player. You've been, got your rings. Now you've got rings as a coach. And now, after everything is all said and done, you sit down and put all that together, and you decide to write a book. What was the thought process behind that, and well, who pushed you to do that?
There's a lot of different factors. One was is that everybody should have some kind of autobiography of their family history, to be able to know exactly what it was, where they come from,
Okay.
uh, grandparents, parents, grandparents, their parents' parents, as far back as you can go, because it's really interesting to find out who's who and all these different names and um, where they came from. So in essence, you find out who you come from. But uh, I've always been really curious about that. And then we had that, and we had a pandemic. So
Yes.
it's like, hey, let's start writing some stuff down. So, um, and then once I started doing it, um, I just kept going, kept going, kept going. And, you could relive old stories. You could talk to old friends. You could talk to old teammates from high school or as far back as you want to go. And then old friends in college, NBA. Um, as you probably could tell, I'm not going to kill anybody. That's not who I am. But I think it's just something that's going to give that's as much for my family um, and how we grew up than anything else. So, if people are curious about that, I had some friends of mine. They're like, "You got to put more NBA stuff in there." I said, "I'm going to put some NBA stuff in there, but it's going to be about myself. It's going to be about my family.
That's
It's
awesome.
going to be about the challenges that we had and how a guy from Elk Grove, California, uh, got to the NBA for 16 years and coached for 16 years. So
That's
um,
phenomenal.
that's what this story is all about. So it was fun. It was fun
Val,
making.
welcome to the stage, Val. How you doing tonight?
Coach Cartwright, it's a real pleasure to have you on the platform. And of course, I have my 1996 Bulls shirt on. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just a fan and just grateful that you were able to come. When writing books and you're writing, and you just kind of just broke down exactly what you would like to place in your book. What would be some of the takeaways you would want your fans, people you've coached, people that you've worked with to take away from living life at the center? Because I'm learning. Yeah, you were a sinner, so of course, I think that's an ideal title
Oh,
for
man.
your book. I like the title of your book too, Coach.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that just what I said at the end is that look, I'm not a big believer in what can't be done because I've been in situations where, like I said, what is a guy from Elk Grove doing in the NBA? Um, it's always makes me chuckle when people say, "Oh, you guys can't win them all," and I'm like, "Yeah, we can." When I was in high school, we were 30-0. We can win them all.
Wow.
So, if there's a big game on and you're playing against the number one team in the country, and it's like, well, you're not going to win that game. But it's like, yeah, I can. I really can win. So, um, everything's your mindset and what you want to do and what you can accomplish. Um, I am a big believer in everybody doesn't have to be a leader. I'm more of a believer in everybody can be if they choose to be. Um, because some people don't want that role. Some people are perfectly happy with having a job and going to work and coming home and having the weekends off. And there's nothing wrong with that. And some people are happy with owning their own business and working themselves 6.5 days a week, and that's fine too. So whatever you can envision, you can do. If you believe it, there's only one person stopping you, and that's you. Do not listen to anybody else. I think that people are amusing because everybody knows exactly what you should be doing. Now
Yeah,
for
right.
themselves, they have no idea. But for you, they know exactly. Oh, I know what you should do. So I'm just believing, staying the course, having the faith, believing in yourself, and just keep marching forward. You can't be stopped
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
if you
awesome,
believe.
man. That's awesome. And looking back, you talk about a little bit with the book, and you're looking at the players now, and you mentioned it earlier. The role of a big man in the league is no longer. Do you talk about this in the book at all, where you kind of, since that part of the game is now gone, what's the advice or what kind of, like you're in San Francisco with the players now, and everything is totally different. Then you see a young kid just trying to develop his basketball game. What kind of advice are you giving these young guys that are now coming up in the game and now they're getting money thrown at them before they even get to college, and all that? And then with the advice you're giving, do you see those young guys taking that advice to heart?
Well, I think the big thing is that you got to understand what you do well. Like I'll ask a kid, what do you do well and what do you need to work on? What do you do well? And that's what you have to understand. And so for me, that's a big part of basketball and building up your weaknesses and having an understanding of how you guard, how you play is really important because everybody's going to have a different vision of what your role should be. And you've got to understand clearly what that is and try to meet those kind of expectations. But it's just all in the work. It's all in the work. It's the time you're going to put in. It's not a coincidence that the best dribblers dribble more, shooters, they shoot more, players, they play more.
Mm-hmm.
More is better.
Where's better?
Yes.
What you think about that, Val?
I'd say it's wonderful, and my major takeaway is that you have to have a certain mindset to accomplish anything. And I know I see there's pre-orders on the website on bill-cartwright.com. Says it's going to be releasing soon. How soon will the book come out?
I'm hoping this week. Cross your fingers.
Okay. There you go. Christmas time. Christmas gift, everybody. Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Christmas gift.
Hey guys, I don't want to lose you here, but I might. Because I'm on my phone and it's getting dark.
Okay, yeah, that's not mine. I got you. Well, we appreciate you, Val. Make sure you put that link in here on how to get to Coach Cartwright's book. And Coach Cartwright, you and I are going to stay connected. I told you I want to get out to San Fran to a couple games, to some camps and some stuff, and we'll be in touch. And your guy, Coach Cliff Levinson, I'm trying to get him right now, and I'll make sure I let you know when we get him on air tonight. Do you have any final last word for anybody, Coach?
No, I think the big thing is that I already know you're going in the right direction because Cliff's a great man. You talked about Danielle, and I hold Danielle in really high esteem.
Yeah.
She is probably, I'm not big into shooting coaches. She's the only coach that I would allow to have my players work with. That girl, she is really special. So I know you're doing the right thing, and I know her character is off the charts. So
yeah, I'm glad to be good. I'll see her here in Nashville in about 35 days. They got the new Athletes Unlimited League, and I'm working with them closely. And then, of course, the WNBA just sprouted out to Unrivaled. So we got some things going on. So I'll definitely be circling back in your path as well. But I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule tonight and really giving my fans an opportunity to listen to that and hopefully get a couple of questions answered. And Val, you got your last word for Coach?
Nope. Thank you so much. And thanks for all you've done for the game. We appreciate and love you, Coach. Thanks for coming.
Most definitely. Well, we appreciate you, Coach. We be back in touch. I'll probably reach out to you tomorrow. Man, Val, that was awesome. Man, caught him on the. It just as much love. And the big thing I take away from that, and I appreciate everybody on air tonight. I've been grinding at this thing for 20, 25 years. And to get in this 25th year and get a chance to circle back with guys like Cliff Levinson and, Coach Cartwright, Coach Vigilon, of course. And by the way, keep watching, because then I got another young lady coming up on the WNBA side of the house, and Rusha Brown coming up. I got another coach in Spencer Jennings. So to be in those spaces where I've got the opportunity to touch these pro coaches and high-level college coaches for some of my kids and myself is absolutely awesome. So I'm just glad they gave us the time, and I'm just glad I got a platform, thanks to you, to talk to these guys,
Which is great. And we wanted to make sure that we let you guys know that his new book, Living Life at the Center, is available at bill-cartwright.com. And of course, pre-orders are happening right now. And of course, he says, pray that it'll get out for this week, just in time for Christmas. And coming up next week, we hope to have who you just mentioned, Miss Brown. I think she's supposed to be in, right?
Big time. She's big time. On that same level with Coach Cartwright from the WNBA side. She's played long, just like Coach Danielle Vigilon. She was there doing that first draft for the WNBA. You're looking at somebody that's done just phenomenal things, and now she's in the WNBA Players Association, helping them out at the top level and doing some things. So I'm trying to corner her right now, steal some of her time during the holidays. And make sure you tune back in with your main man, Coach Tony, and the Pull Up Podcast show right here next Monday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 on the coast. So we can bring you some more quarter-by-quarter information.
Of course, a DJ saved my life. It's the ebook from yours truly, Val the Voice Johnson, available at purelighthousemedia.com to order your book. And the printed version of this book will hit first quarter next year. We're excited to have it. And of course, you want to tell people about the Rise NIL. You gotta get
the merch. We got the merch coming. Val got the hats coming. Y'all playing golf. Y'all looking for some gifts for your daddy for Christmas or something like that? Holler at your boy and get some of this merch. Put it in his hand so he can start wearing some of the Rise and some of the Pull Up Podcasts at the Rise. As Coach just mentioned, we work closely with a lot of athletes in terms of what they're looking for in terms of NIL money, and also with brands. Again, not everyone's getting an opportunity to come out, because I think he put it very eloquently, Val. No one, and not a lot of ones, are making $1 million. Those guys that are making between 50 and 100,000 is doing great. Majority of these kids are making less than 25. So reach out to your boy right here on the Rise, NIL.com, so I can talk to you about how you can get paid as a college athlete for your sport.
That's what I'm talking about. And then, of course, Deborah Harris, she says, great job. Very proud of you, probably cheering you on, of course. And, of course, we're back on tomorrow night. It's Interlude Extra Presents Talk on Tuesdays. I guess it's time. It's Christmas time. And, of course, we're going to be talking music. And, of course, if you guys want some recommendations of what are some of the best or some fun Christmas movies to check out, we will definitely be doing that and having a blast on tomorrow night. But it's, of course, we're excited about it. It's a Pull Up Podcast show every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And of course, we want to thank Bill Cartwright for being here. This was a great show. This was a great show.
Think about before I let you guys go, I want you to think about this. This is how special Coach Cartwright was. 12 years in the league, went to his beloved Knicks, didn't win a ring till he came to the Shy, baby, to Chicago, leaves, comes back, wins 3 more rings as a coach. And we have not won another ring since he and Jordan and the Cries left Chicago. That's how difficult it is to win win a NBA ring. It ain't easy. They don't give them out you got to take them, baby. You got to take them. So, but hey, I appreciate everyone tuning in. That's my guy, Leon. What's up, baby? Check it in tonight. So I see you. I see you right there. And I know my grandbaby out there. My sister said she proud. I love you, girl. And I know my grandbaby out there, Miss Skylar. I know Olivia ain't big enough to talk yet, Val. She will be talking in a minute. But I know Skylar said that's Paw. But I appreciate you guys. But Val, you know our words. Peace.
See you tomorrow. Woo, 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 woo.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the boys and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the boys and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast.